Now we're recording?
Yeah. And I told you about Ivan, and that's a summary of that. I talked to him briefly on the phone. It's all good. All right,
so for our listeners,
let's begin, shall we?
So for our listeners, apparently Ivan will not be with us tonight because of difficulties with a family member and nothing having to do with COVID or
not an emergency. It's just
not an emergency, but he's not
Ivan
just
with us
tonight.
Would not have his head in the game if he had to be with us to record tonight.
That's okay. He rarely has his head in the game anyway. But a bump. I had to. It was just so fair. It's horrible when it's like that's how where your mind is, where it's like literally you're like, oh, it's so right there. Must keep my mouth shut. No, I can't keep my mouth shut.
No,
it's right there.
Jeff can't keep his mouth shut.
No.
Neither can I.
No.
So it's just Jeff and me, Mike, with you this week.
Yes. So Mike Boyle's with me. I'm Jeff Stein.
No interns yet. We're still digging out from the snow.
Yeah, jeez. Holy cow. It's really weird. Can I admit, since we're having a pandemic, it's like, oh, there was a big, huge, monstrous snow yesterday. It's like, oh, well, I didn't leave the house anyway. There's a pandemic. Not like I had anywhere to go.
Did you stock up on Blizzard French toast? No,
not really.
Yeah. No bread, no eggs, no milk.
Oh, that. Yeah. So the irony is, I think we went to the store we went to the store like either on Thursday or Friday, just in general. So we had a bunch of stuff, so it was all good.
Okay.
But, how about you? Was it crazy by you?
The hardware store, obviously, we enjoy calamitous weather because we're a hardware store. So when we're supposed to get set, they were calling for 5 to 9 inches, 6 to 9 inches runner in there. We got about 7. But the couple days prior to the storm, you'd think we were getting 20 inches. Just people are running like crazy, waiting until now, the day before the storm hits, to make sure their snowblower's running. I was like, why didn't you do like normal people and make sure it's running in September? Nope. No. I was like, I just tried to pull it now and it don't work and I need these parts. Can you get them tomorrow? Nope. Anyway.
That's not true. You can get them tomorrow and now I'm going to charge you the rush fee.
No, we can't expedite. We can't get stuff expedited. Anyway, so we got the snowstorm.
You're nice. That's usually what I do. It's like, in that case, here's
$50 shipping fee.
Yeah.
You want them tomorrow?
$50 shipping fee. Keep going.
You want them tomorrow? Bend over. Yeah. We got
without lube either.
But Saturday, the snowstorm hit around 4:30. 5 o'clock, about an hour before we closed. And then, of course, the roads were just starting to get shitty when I got out of work Saturday. So game night was canceled, which is fine. We'll just go for this Saturday when it's going to be a high of 1 degree on Saturday. God. We'll do that instead. So I had that. She had the snowstorm. That was fine. Did my taxes, so fine. So it's because I got my W-2, so did my taxes.
So how many snow blowers did you have to fix today?
we send them to another store, but people can drop them off at our store because we're one of 9 stores in a network, and the one store in the network is the one at Round Lake, so we send it over there to get them fixed. But I've had just people asking. I think we've had on average 2 the last 3 days come in and get repaired. But we've sold a ton of them. We sold too.
I was going to ask you how many.
Couple dozen snowblowers.
Couple doubles. Yeah, I was going to say.
In the last 4 or 5 days.
How many shovels did you guys probably sell? How many?
Lots. And salt and of course we're out of sleds. That's the thing. All the kids are stuck at home. Mm-hmm. No school. And so when Mom's getting crazy, she says go outside and play in the snow. There's no sleds to buy. No, everyone's bought all the sleds and toboggans, so there's none to be found in the city.
Well, isn't that what garbage can lids are for?
You could. Yeah, well then the lid, you got to take the lid off though.
Well,
the handle.
Right, well, okay. Oh, you're talking about the ones that are attached.
The old style metal ones,
I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking, like, there's those plastic ones where the lid just comes off and they're not attached. It's like...
Yeah, but they'll still, the handle does kind of protrude still, too. But it might work in heavy enough snow.
And it depends on... Well, now, see, the problem is it depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about sledding where you're just kind of, like, dragging the sled along with somebody on it? Or are we talking about there's a hill?
And there's a hill that is, like, super steep, and it can get you, like, 20, 30 miles an hour. And if you wipe out, you're bound to, be in trouble. You might get a face full of snow or worse.
Well, like, for example, I mean, those are the kinds of things where it's like, I might be able to body surf this.
Well, belly whopper? You mean like
just say, just kind of like cowabung.
Yeah, right.
I will admit, there was one, so in my first year at college, I was living up in Vermont. And, Vermont gets a crap load of snow.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one gigantic, there was like an upper level to where we were at and a lower level. And I needed to get to class. And I needed to get there like fast. And I was running late. And class was below the hill. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, and there had been a heavy snow.
I see where this is going.
And I'm like, looking at the stairs and I'm looking, I'm like, I got a faster way to get down the hill. I went through the cafeteria. I grabbed a tray. One of those big, like, plastic trays. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, the big lunch tray looking thing.
Yeah.
And I basically jumped off the hill with it and basically slid down the hill. Basically got myself to class.
It worked?
And it worked. I still was a little late. It was a little painful. But it worked, in theory. I did not account for the part that you said about, at that point,
stopping. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, stopping was not a thought out thing in that moment.
I see spinning as Clark Griswold. And
the way it was set up too was as such that the good news is that I did stop. The bad news is the reason I stopped was, there was the brick building there.
Uh-oh.
So that, I'm big, but I'm going to knock down a brick building big. So yeah, when I slammed into the side of the building, I was not so thrilled. And I kind of walked into my class, and thank God I didn't have to do anything important. I guess literally I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure I don't have a concussion, but I could.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I had not thought that one through. And a few people saw me, and they're like, you okay? I'm like, eh. Actually, I think my comment was, have you met me?
Mm-hmm. All right. Wow, that was, using gravity and snow to get you to class faster.
Yeah.
That was...
So you've not done any online gaming with your game night group at all?
We're all physical. We used to, physical, you know what I mean? We used to use Steam to play a couple of games, but just internet connections and friends' houses and, just didn't work. So no, we don't do online gaming.
Okay. I was just curious because, with the pandemic, like I said, with the pandemic, I've done a lot of, the difference being we're doing more like an RPG kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we've been doing it mostly online, so.
Now, we have our board games, and of course we're safe. And like I said, we've chronicled this over the summer. Like, we played in the garage, outside, and we've limited exposure to people who, so. And of course, knock on wood, we've been good. Nobody's gotten it. Another one of my Facebook friends got tested and positive today, so I'm like, oh man, that's a bummer. Of course, I haven't seen this person in years, but you know how it is. You meet a person and then they're Facebook friends and then you stay that way for many years. But anyway, it sucks, when people get it, you hear that people get it. And I'm finding out that former coworkers, my former boss got it, and he only had a head cold for 3 days, but his wife got it. She had a nagging cough. It's affecting everybody differently, and that's the thing. I looked on McHenry County's McHenry County Health Department and see if I can get my mom on a list to get the vaccine. And I said, call your doctor. And she's like, I will eventually. But it's like, because nobody knows anything. A lot of these people in the pharmacies are like, nope, don't come here. I mean, there were signs up in December saying, no, we do not have the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess we could sit here and talk about this because it's funny. I'm looking for it for my mom. My mom's 79.
Yeah.
And so this system is crazy. It really is. It doesn't even, it's like, okay, how many lists do I need to get on? How often do I need it? Yeah, all of them. Yeah. Which is weird because it's like, you'd think, okay, if I get on the list for the county, you'd think that then they would distribute that. Yeah, it's so bass backwards that it's like, I don't know what to think.
So you just, like I said, you get as many of the lists as you can, and then when either you contact the doctor or whatever, some website for the state or county or whatever, and when you get a list, fine. And I have a coworker who's getting his first of the 2 shots on Friday, so it's working its way down. It's got to wait.
I'm beginning to think this could be like a little business where it's like, don't want to like figure out how to get the Rona shot. Let me do it for you. You pay me X number of dollars, and I'll get you where you need to get shot.
Well, like a vaccine broker, yeah.
Yeah, like a whatchamacallit, like a
bookie.
Yeah, or a scalper.
Right, or a bookie, or a ticket broker.
Hey, we got Rona tickets right here. Yeah, we got Rona vaccine tickets.
Yeah, I was thinking about that movie Bachelor Party the other day, and the one guy was a ticket broker. And that's like one job that's been kind of gone the wayside because of technology and computers.
Well, I mean, I think that stuff still exists, but
it's all through virtual now.
Yeah, a lot of. I think there's still some in-person stuff. Like, it's funny you say that because I thought about that the other day, where it's like, back in the day, like when we owned Bulls tickets, it's like. When you own Bulls tickets, it's like I had to go to the play. Sometimes I would have to go to the place and be like, okay, got to bring the tickets and sell it and all that kind of stuff, because we had one broker where we would sell the entire season to, and this is back in the days with Jordan, and so we'd sell them, and we always had a caveat, which was there are some games we would like to get. Will you do a discount with us on certain games so that I can see some games? Instead of, because sometimes they'd want the whole season, where instead of, hey, we're keeping these games for ourselves, if you understand what I mean. So it was funny because there were a couple times where it's like I had to go over there and like go pick up seats and stuff. And like one time it was really funny when the guy was really cool. He was like, actually, I got these. And I was like, I literally am sitting like, I was so close. I could fucking hear Phil Jackson barking out orders in a timeout.
Nice.
And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. I didn't want to know how much those cost, but they did deal for us because, we had been selling them for a long time. You get the idea. But, no, there should be a Rotor vaccine scalper. Yeah, absolutely. I got your Moderna. I got your Pfizer.
And the Johnson & Johnson is on its way.
Yeah, I got my Johnson & Johnson. It's coming.
It's in his trench coat, with
that's where your Johnson & Johnson would be. Hello.
That's not totally different service. Show you what else.
But that's available too, at a discount if you want that too. Anyway,
watched a couple more of the season 2 of Tales from the Tour Bus, the Mike Judge series. Watched the one with Morse Day and the Time, and a little bit of the George Clinton one. I kind of fell asleep in the George Clinton one. I need to rewatch it. But the Morse Day and the Time one was good because it ties into Prince. Mm-hmm. And cause Morse Day, they had that one, the big hit, Jungle Love.
They had more than...
They had lots of hits, yeah.
Because they had, like, Bird and...
Talks about, there's watching... There's a funny story. I don't want to divulge too many stories, but they had a VHS on their tour bus, and guy put in the Flintstones. And he saw one of the pterodactyls flapping on the TV, I said, man, that's funny as shit. And so that's how he got the idea for the bird. Was watching the pterodactyl on the Flintstones cartoon on the tour bus.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I wonder how much...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just, maybe they answered this question they were talking about. I mean, I wonder how much the whole Jay and Silent Bob talking about Morris Day and the time helped reboot or revamp or pick them back up a little bit.
I don't know. No, they didn't mention that. Like I said, the series is from 2018, so not that far off. But Morris Day was still alive. Obviously, he's still alive. And they talked to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And Morris Day talked about how he met Prince. He was a crazy bird from the start. So, but yeah, it was good. Yeah. I watched some of that more distant. And like I said, I don't want to. I'm finding clips on YouTube. I don't want to have to pay. I paid for season 1, and I'm loving it. It's a good show. It's funny. It's still funny. You're rewatching it. But season 2 is still good too. Great stories. Just even if some of them have some embellishments.
And this is on what again? Is this YouTube?
I caught some clips on YouTube, but like I said, it's on demand. It's on Xfinity. It's on Apple. I'm sure you can find it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. But it's out there. You just gotta find it. Like I said, I'm finding clips on YouTube.
Got it.
That way, it's I'm not paying for it. You know what I mean? But I did pay for season 1, and I'm happy I did. So eventually, I'll see all of season 2, but I just not quite yet. What else? Yeah, I watched WandaVision, and Sunday. Sunday, of course, when the snow came, and then Sunday, I waited until like noon when the snow was kind of tapering off. We still got like another inch during the day, like between like noon and nightfall. But most of it was down by noon, so I went and shoveled, and then came in and had lunch, and just feeling kind of sleepy, and it's a lazy Sunday, so I set my timer. I set an alarm on my phone, and I closed my eyes for 20 minutes, and next thing you know, it's an hour and a half. I'm like, oh, good. And so you have those naps. It's like, it's not like refreshing or comforting at all. It's like, it just kind of meshes you up. I was like, that kind of nap Sunday, so it kind of threw me off for going into Monday morning. I
don't know what's worse, that or when you have to get up in the morning to go to the bathroom, and it's like there's enough time that you should be able to get some sleep, but you know that going back to sleep, you're not going to get the sleep you really want.
Yeah, I'm lucky in that regard. I've been blessed with not having bouts of insomnia. My sister has that. And
not so much insomnia. It's like, okay.
Yeah, trying to get back to sleep. Because
it's not even the back to sleep. It's, okay, it's 6 a.m. I got to pee. The alarm's going off at like 7:45. And you're like, I'm going to go back to sleep.
Yeah, you try to. You turn over and you hope you can, your mind stops racing long enough for you to fall asleep again.
Oh, that's not the problem. The problem is that you're just getting that good sleep again, and then the alarm goes off and you're like, oh, fuck me, I don't want to get up.
Mm-hmm.
I just hit the good, it was just getting good sleep again. And
remember one time I napped, I took a nap, it was like 6:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
on a Sunday. I woke up, it was 6 a.m. Monday. Like, I slept for 11 and a half hours.
Damn.
And I'm like, first of all, my evening was shot. I was like, I've got Sunday evening, and nope, I slept for 11 and a half hours solid. I did only a handful of times in my life, but man, I was like, when your body says you need to rest, and I'm like, no way, bro, and body's like, F you, and you.
I was gonna say 11 hours. Yeah,
11 and a half hours.
You
need rest, so I got it. But anyway, yeah. So
the closest experience to that I ever had, and nowhere near the amount of time, but I'll never forget. I'm taking the red eye from Vegas home, and we're leaving at I want to say we're leaving at midnight Vegas time or something like that, something along those lines. Okay. And I'm on the plane, and, I'm having a little drink or something along those lines. And I remember taking off. The next thing I know, I'm getting nudged by the flight attendant. They're like, yeah, you have to pull your tray table and all this other stuff up. We're going to land.
Nice.
And I'm like, what? We're going to land. I like slept like 4 or 5 hours straight on the plane.
Wow.
It was like, it's the closest thing to like being transported like on a Star Trek transporter that you
like,
could get. Cause it's like
time travel. Yeah.
Yeah, like time travel. Cause it was like 1 second ago, I was in Vegas. The next, it's like, yeah,
you're in Chicago.
I'm in Chicago. It was
Wow.
so freaky. Cause it's like 1 minute I'm in Vegas, it's warm. The next minute it's like freaking freezing out. What am I? Wait, what? I'm in Chicago? How am I in Chicago? This is so strange. I was awake. Yeah.
A lot of people wish they could sleep like that on a plane.
Oh, yeah. Well, that particular time it worked. The next time I did, because I figured, oh, it worked one time, it should work just fine the second time, right?
Nope.
No, and no. It did not work the same way the second time. I was so frustrated. Because I'm like, oh, I'll sleep overnight on the flight home, and then I'll be like, oh, that's great, that's perfect. And I'm just thankful I took the day off, because I was like, God, so glad I'm coming home now. I'm going to sleep in my bed. God.
And, of course, then to commemorate the anniversary of the 85 season Super Bowl champions, the Chicago Bears, had the Ditka has his own brand of Italian beef you can buy. It's really good. Ditka's.
Is it?
Yeah, Ditka's. Yeah, it's really good Italian beef. It's in the frozen section.
God, he'll put his name on just about fucking anything, won't he?
This is good, though. It's good Italian beef.
Hey, yeah, I just got me some Ditka condoms. I got some Ditka hair gel. I got Ditka, like, wart cream. Ditka preparation H.
Gotta pay the rent.
There's paying the rent, and then there's, like, Jiminy Christmas. How many more freaking things you gonna pitch?
Merchandising.
Seriously.
Mike Ditka the flamethrower.
Mike Ditka the walker. You know, Mike Ditka the tennis ball. I don't know.
So,
Mike Ditka dentures.
Yeah. Dental implants.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had it was pretty uneventful. Of course, with the snow. That was the event of the weekend. And we had a barbecue truck that came through again. I think it's called Brothers Barbecue. I think they're based out of Algonquin.
Okay.
They were, they got a good brisket burger. Had that. It was really good. So hopefully they'll be back to the store in a couple of weeks, maybe in a month or so. So yeah, it was a pretty good week. Like I said, not bad. And it's winter, it's cold. And now this week being the 10th anniversary of the blizzard of 2011.
Trying to remember that one.
That was when all the cars got stuck on Lakeshore Drive.
Oh God, yeah.
We got like 26 inches that day.
That was, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that, because where I was working at the time, I had bosses who literally were like had the mentality of, you're not coming in. What, are you dead? They never closed unless it was like they had to be closed. And I just laughed, because it was like, kept saying, it's supposed to be bad. Are we sure? Everybody else is like leaving. Are we sure we shouldn't be leaving? I'm like, oh, no. Oh, no. Like 4:00, it starts to hit. They're like, okay, I think everybody should leave. Now we're going to leave? Like everyone else is going to leave? Good job, guys. Nice, thanks.
Remember that night, I got home, I got to leave an hour early because everyone was smart and off the road, and my truck barely made it on the driveway. And the next morning, I got up, I set the alarm like 6 a.m. so I could get up and shovel so I can make my, clear a path so I can get my truck out on the street. And I woke up and the plows hadn't come through, and there's 2 feet of snow on it. So I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. The plows didn't come down our street until like 11 o'clock. That day.
And I laugh because here's the best one. Like the cars that were stuck on Lakeshore Drive, one of them was my boss's. And I took everything in my power not to say, well, maybe if you'd fucking let us leave early and you'd listen to me. I said, I hear it's going to be really bad. Everybody else is like freaking leaving to go home. And I said it at like 2 o'clock, like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. No. It's a weatherman. They don't know what they're talking about. Blah, blah. And in fairness, most of the time they're right about that. Not this time. And it was like, he got stuck. His car got stuck. He was one of the people whose cars got stuck. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, I won't laugh. I'm trying not to laugh. I will not laugh. I
took the yardstick out of the garage and I stuck it in the driveway. There was 26 inches of snow on our driveway the next morning. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
most snow. There were other snowstorms. Like there was one in '79. I guess that was pretty bad, and I barely even remember that as a kid. I remember the big piles of snow at school, like at recess. We'd go out and we'd play, King of the Mountain, in class, and then the teachers would be like, "Don't play on that." And then of course there were some hills we got to sled on. We could bring our own sleds, and we, put them in. There was a special spot in the class where we could put our sleds, and then for recess we'd go out and play on our sleds.
I didn't use the lunch tray.
No, I didn't have to use the lunch tray.
I figure. The only reason I remember the 79 one is they closed early and they didn't even have the ability to get buses to bus people. So they called all the parents to pick up the kids. And my mom got out to pick me up. And by the time she went to go back, she couldn't get it. It was so bad. The snow was so bad. We ended up staying at a restaurant for 4 hours for some strange reason or something, is what she told me. I can't remember all of it, but she remembers it like it was yesterday. So that's the only reason I'm aware of it. But yeah, I just wonder what if. Sometimes that's what I sit there and go, if only I had a flamethrower.
That would solve your problem, I guess.
Yeah, seriously. Like a giant, 2 feet of snow, watch this. Although the ice that it would create would be brutal.
It's too bad it's illegal.
Is it illegal to have
I don't know. Well, is it? I think it would be. It would be a huge fire hazard. Even if it is snow, 2 feet of snow and there's no one around you. It might damage the pavement.
But you'd be out of the snow. You'd be out of the snow. But that's just,
So how was your week?
My week was kind of crazy. I guess I'll start here, which is, I did, I was one of the 21 finalists for, a 99-second Grand Slam Story Slam. So basically, you have to tell your story in 99 seconds, and I had done one back in, I want to say November or December, and I was a finalist. I made it to the finals for a regular competition. So I made it into what they called their overall slam version, which is kind of like they take three like a season ender, kind of so to speak. And so I was one of the 21 storytellers, and they broke us into what would be sections. I think there was 5 total. I think there were 5 total sections. No, there were 4 sections, and one of them had 5. The rest of them had 4. And so you had to win your section, and then they had a couple wild cards. And then they took the final 7, and whoever won the whole thing. And, it was fun. I didn't get out of the first round, this time. I had no problem talking about, I'll probably tell a better version of this. Obviously I can, because I don't have to worry about timing. So, back when I was a kid, my grandmother would sit there and insist that as a family we had to do culture night, and she'd get when she put her foot down, it was forget it. I mean, she was a sweet woman. She loved her to death. Wouldn't hurt a flea, except when it was, we will have culture. And she had like a fine arts background, so from Northwestern. So it was like her idea of culture was like classical music, opera, or ballet.
Boring.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, as a kid, it's like, oh god. So we're in Miami for the holidays, and my grandmother, and my aunt, and my mom. I don't know why my grandfather and my dad weren't there. Maybe they were coming in the next day on Christmas Day. I can't remember. And my grandmother insists we're going to do this night of culture, and we're all stuck. And we're going to go to the Fontainebleau in Miami, and they have like this showroom thing, kind of like, you know, like a Copa kind of showroom or like a Vegas showroom kind of thing, where they're doing like a dinner, and it was like a prime rib dinner or something like that, and then it was and then they were going to have Carmen. And it was funny because I remember my mom and my aunt didn't want to go either, and she was like, no, we're going to do a culture event, and you're coming. And so I had to get dressed up too, which of course meant like I had to wear like a tie and a jacket, and because it was supposed to be nice, which also was a pain in the ass. So we go to the Fontainebleau. I, you know, gorged myself out on a whole bunch of prime rib and some really good food. And I'm like, okay, here we go. We got, okay, here we go. 3 hours of this bullshit.
We're tonight's entertainment.
All right, 3 hours of, so, you know, the curtain opens, then people come out, they're singing, all this stuff is going on. And out comes Carmen. Topless.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, my grandmother had no idea that was going to happen. And she turns like 5 shades of white. And like, my mom and my aunt are like, and I'm like, oh, that, I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, opera it is. I'm good. Let's,
how did the crowd react?
Well, apparently they all must have known. Okay, but like, literally, like, obviously, it was funny because my aunt's like, and obviously this is longer than 99, this is the longer version. My aunt's like, well, maybe we should go. I'm like, no, we should stay. We should definitely stay. You know, I'm like 12. I'm like, we should stay. I think we should stay. And it's funny because like years later, it was funny because like for the I don't know, I would like say for the next 30 years, like no lie, it would be like anytime my grandmother would be like, okay, we're going to go for culture, and I'd be like, Carmen. She's like, no, not like Carmen. She'd get mad. She's like, why you gotta bring that up? Because I liked that. But yeah, so I kind of used that story. I used a shorter version. I ended with, I think I like opera. Which obviously got a good laugh. So it's a good story. Like I said, it didn't get me far enough, but that's okay. So yeah, there's that. And then, trying to think anything else, off the top of my head, if there was stuff that I had going on. So yeah, I had the 99-second slam. That was fun. I enjoyed that. You know, I caught a couple things on TV. I finally finished The Crown. Like, I finally finished like all 5 seasons, and
right.
I'm like,
what'd you think?
You know, it's a well done show, and it's very impressive what they do. I'm sorry, not 5 seasons. I think there's 4 seasons. It's a very well done show. I learned quite a bit about the British monarchy that I was not aware of, which only makes me have a million questions as to why in the hell certain things happen, but neither here nor there. Obviously, the stuff in the last season was the most interesting because it was pretty much the 80s, so it was like Princess Di and Prince Charles and quite a bit of Margaret Thatcher. I was kind of surprised we did not see there was no cameo of a Reagan appearance or anything like that for the 80s. But like, for example,
But
like how
what's his name? Blaine, I think.
Blaine.
The other prime minister.
Oh, Tony Blair. We haven't gotten that far.
Blair.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that far. We haven't got that far.
All right.
Like I said, there was it starts with Churchill, and like basically the last season that I watched is the end of Margaret Thatcher, and I just didn't realize how much of a real bitch she was, and how much she was just like, just how bad, we all talk about like conservatism and Reaganism. It's like Thatcher was Reaganism on like steroids. She did some stuff that it's like, I can't, like, if they had pulled that in America, woo-wee. I don't think they'd have gotten away with it. I don't think Reagan could have got away with it. But the other thing is, it's interesting because it gave me an entirely new perspective on Prince Charles. The other thing that was interesting was because they were aging them, they switched actors out in the last 2 seasons, and I've heard rumblings that they've greenlit a couple more seasons, and they're going to maybe even switch out actors to get them to be even older. But like I said, it's well done. It's the only thing I have at times is it's just like the pacing is a little bit slow, and so that's frustrating. The other thing that I thought was interesting is just how out of touch the Royals are.
Just like any like ruling class elite, I think they just they don't know the trials and tribulations of the common person.
I'm not even talking about that. I mean, even popular culture. Like,
they're surrounded by yes men, and they don't watch much TV. They don't know what they're not hip to the tip, as Ivan would say.
Well, I mean, like, here, I'll give you an example. So, for their anniversary, Diana set something up where she basically gets the entire cast of Family Opera to do on videotape, and this is like the late 80s, where she did like a private video recording of her singing like one of the songs from Family Opera with like the entire cast there, which, by the way, is freaking impressive. But, Family Opera is like one of the biggest musicals ever. Andrew Lloyd Webber is like is huge when it comes to musical theater. And Charles talks about it like some little weird play or something, and I'm like, it's Phantom of the Opera. It's probably one of the biggest plays.
What's a big deal?
I mean, we're talking about, it hadn't got. I don't think it had come over to America yet, but because it started in Britain. We're talking to Andrew Lloyd Webber, who wrote Cats. Okay, we're talking about Phantom of the Opera. I mean, Family Opera was huge in London's West End. I mean, it was like the hottest ticket in town, and like Prince Charles is like acting like he's never heard of Phantom of the Opera, and I'm like, are you what?
Well, I mean, they live in their just a sheltered life. They live.
Like, I'm not positive they would have known who Michael Jackson was. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, the way that they
Yeah, sounds reasonable to me. I mean, that's not part of their lives. They don't venture outside of the popular culture, or they don't read People magazine. I mean, that's not their way.
Well, it's weird because it's like, I don't know if it's the show that depicts them poorly in that regard or not. Because, I mean, obviously later on all the Beatles were knighted, but like in the entire part of the 60s, you don't see anything about them talking about the Beatles or Beatlemania.
No.
And the Crown, or you know what I mean? Like, Beatlemania is like going nuts in the 60s.
Right.
And it's not even like an afterthought in the show. It's like, honestly, there's a part of me where it's like, would they have even know who the Beatles fucking were?
Maybe.
Maybe what I mean? I don't know. Like I said, it's a well done show. If that's your thing, it's worth checking out.
Is there going to be another season?
Yeah, I guess there's going to be. They've greenlit seasons 5 and 6.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of when.
You going to watch?
I probably will. Saw the trial of Chicago 7. And
yeah, you and Ivan both saw that. I saw it. I really should invest in that.
Here's the thing. There are some moments where I feel like they want you to invest reaction, and I didn't feel it. At the same time, I'm a little more biased than Ivan is, which is, Trial of the Chicago 7's by Aaron Sorkin. And Aaron Sorkin, I think you've heard me gush about Sorkin before, where, West Wing to me is one of the great shows. I'm a big fan of his work. I love Sports Night. I love I love Newsroom. Obviously the movie, since that time he's moved into movies, stuff like The Social Network, Molly's Game. They're all really, really solid movies. I mean, when Aaron Sorkin puts something together, it's going to be something special. And, he's probably one of the better TV writers of our time in terms of in some regards. And now he's kind of moved to movies, and he's done a very admirable, and that's just transferred over.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I hate to say it, don't get me wrong, watching old West Wings and Sports Nights and all that stuff is cool, but how do I say, I'm a junkie and I want my fix and I want something new. So the Trial of Chicago, and the funny part is, you don't realize how much, when you're one of those people, how much you miss Sorkin until you get Sorkin. Until you get new Sorkin. And you're like, oh, that's what I'm talking about. I needed that in my life. Within the first 15 minutes, I was like, oh baby, that's what I've been talking about. This is exactly what I needed in my life right now. So, it's typical Sorkin. It's well executed. It's well done. He gets some great actors, of course, as always, to do it. Even got Michael Keaton, by the way.
Wow. Got Birdman.
Got Michael Keaton. Well, it's a really, really good cast. There's some other people in there that are really good. I'm just, drawing blanks at the moment. But you get the idea. There's not anybody really ridiculously over the... Actually, I shouldn't say that. Sacha Baron Cohen is in there. Borat.
Is he in the thong?
No.
He's not Borat?
No, he's playing... No, it's interesting. He plays Abby Hoffman, and he's really pretty good in it.
Oh, okay.
And then, the guy from Ready Player One is one of the lawyers. The guy who plays, the guy who created the race and the maze and all that stuff for the keys and all that stuff. He's in there. Like I said, it's a really solid movie. I enjoyed it. I thought that they did a good job casting with some of the people. That's a nice ensemble piece. It is definitely worth watching. In some places it's probably funnier than it should be, which is typical Sorkin, he's gonna make it, it's gonna be entertaining.
It's like awkward humor or?
Well, not only that, or just things where you're just like, okay.
Maybe I shouldn't have laughed at that kind of humor?
Well, right, because it's so asinine. Like, the judge is so asinine in this thing that it's like, it's funny. It's just really, really funny. The way it is. And it's like, at the same time, it's kind of sad. And to see how the seven of them are reacting and what they're doing and all that, and how it goes. You get the idea. Like I said, I don't know if I give it an A+ rating, but I definitely, I don't know if I give it 5 yeah-mans, but I definitely give it 4.
Okay. Four and a quarter, let's say. Let's go meet partway.
I don't know if I could go 4 and a quarter. I think I'll just go 4.
Solid 4? Okay.
A solid 4.
Okay.
A solid 4. Definitely worth watching. If you're a Sorkin fan, without question.
And it's on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's funny because Ivan's not here tonight, and I laughed because I wanted to get his perspective. I also caught the Regina King directed and produced movie, That One Night in Miami, on Amazon.
What's that about?
So it's kind of like, the best way to put it is, so it's basically, Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, and Malcolm X in a room.
Whoa.
Having a conversation about life and Black America and all that shit.
Okay. That sounds interesting.
It is. It's a good piece.
Okay.
I thought at times it was a little slow, but it was fascinating and it was interesting, and it's a high recommend. I'll give it 4 out of 5. That's another one that definitely people should check out. It was worthwhile to see. Leslie Odom Jr. plays Sam Cooke in this, and he's, so obviously with the music background, they give him a little bit of time to sing. But I thought it was interesting because I wasn't as aware about Sam Cooke as Ivan obviously would be. And it was interesting because a lot of the times there was the back and forth between it was very at times back and forth between Sam Cooke and Malcolm X, where there'd be pushback. But it was interesting. And it's just like after Ali has had a fight and beat Sonny Liston for the World Championship, it's before Ali decides to call himself Ali.
Oh, so Cassius Clay. He still
Cassius Clay that night. So it's interesting. But yeah, so there's that. TV, it's funny. Batwoman's going to get a 1 more week reprieve, I think. The last episode was good enough.
You watched episode 3?
I watched episode 3. It was good enough.
Okay.
I highly recommend All American because All American is the best way I can put All American is if you took 90210 and you made it urban and you added in some of Friday Night Lights, that's All American. And it's on Netflix now, seasons 1 and 2. I think the seasons are only 16 episodes. And it's funny because it was a show that no one was sure if they were going to get, at times no one was sure they were going to get a season 3. And we're all glad they were going to get one. Because it was really, people were unsure they were going to get season 2. And it was kind of, maybe we're not going to get season 3. And the interesting thing is, when the pandemic happened, a lot of people found All American on Netflix. And suddenly it has a lot more people watching than it ever did before the pandemic. So good to have that happen, and glad to see that show is getting an opportunity. It's a solid show. Riverdale. So because of the pandemic, Riverdale was not able to finish up their last season. So they're kind of finishing up things now. Everything that's out there says that they're going to do a time jump after they graduate high school. Everything out there says they're going to do like a 5-year time jump.
Makes sense. The actors are getting older.
Well, not only that, look, everybody's trying to do some people have been able to pull off the college years. Some shows have not. Dawson's Creek was horrible at it.
Yeah.
Dawson's Creek was horrible at it. 90210 was good at it. And it's all, Saved by the Bell tried it and it didn't work for them. So it's always been a crapshoot when you're trying to take these high school shows and move them into the college realm. So rather than do it, I think it's kind of smart that it's, like you said, some of these people are already in their 20s. So why not let's just age them? So I think, honestly, the interesting stuff for Riverdale won't come until maybe an episode or 2 from now. And we'll see where that goes. Because right now, it's funny, the end of the year mystery was not nearly as interesting as I thought it would be. There's a graduation episode, and then I think we're finally going into this 5-year move up. The craziest thing I'm watching right now is Nancy Drew.
That's the modern remake?
The new Nancy Drew stuff is just batshit crazy.
Nancy Drew Extreme.
Well, it's like, so they really leaned it, like, I figured it'd be like mysteries, okay? Or like mysteries and stuff. And I thought, okay, they're just going to do mysteries and strange mysteries and stuff like that. I didn't really think they were going to like they talk about ghosts and shit. And at first I was like, oh, maybe that's just like the Scooby-Doo thing and they're going to unmask the person who's been doing all these things kind of thing. Nuh-uh. They've decided they went and added in the supernatural entirely into the show. From season 1. And they've been continuing to go there. And it's like, because it's so, I don't know how to put it. It's one of those where it's like, this shouldn't work, but it is.
It's working? Oh, okay.
It works. It's like it's the kind of thing where it's like, really? Are you fucking kidding me? It's like, I don't think I'm talking out of school. So, to figure out what they need to figure out after to wrap up the first season, they had to call upon this supernatural creature, to get some answers. And in order to get the answers, technically they were supposed to sacrifice somebody. And they didn't do it. So now this supernatural creature is gonna kill them all.
Okay.
And like I said, I have the same reaction you do. And I'm like just sitting there going, this should not work. And yet, it works. And then on top of it, part of the reason it works is it's like, okay, it's set in a really small town in a bay in like Maine.
Yeah,
okay.
up in Northwest or Northeast, right? Okay.
You know, I mean, like one of the people who was like not a regular was like, I told you not to come up here. Have you ever read Stephen King? And I'm like dying of laughter. And then they have like these families that are like old families that have been here for a long time, and there's weird things going on with the families. Like, they didn't like each other, and it's kind of like a caste kind of thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And
then to top it off, there was a big storyline drop on, like, Nancy Drew, and something with Nancy Drew. And I don't want to reveal in case anybody hasn't seen season 1, if they really want to go watch it. But, like I said, the show, it's funny. Season 1, the first half of season 1, I was just like, And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're gonna go.
They're going all in on the.
We're going all in on all the batshit crazy
spooky
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but like all the caste system kind of stuff and social caste thing, and when you combine it all together for some strange reason, and of course it's this small little town, you know, where it's like that, you know, the kind of thing where it's like, you know. Because all these things always happen in these small little towns in the middle of Maine, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, this shouldn't work. It works.
Okay.
Honestly, it seems to have found what Riverdale's missing in the batshit crazy lane. Riverdale used to be batshit crazy. Riverdale's now like, yeah, okay, Riverdale.
Riverdale's kind of homogenized now?
Yeah, well, it's not homogenized. It's like, all right, yeah, okay, we've seen this shit before. We know it's crazy in Riverdale. It's fucked up. Riverdale's fucked up. We already know. And it's like they sat there and they said, huh, we see your Riverdale and we'll raise you Horseshoe Bay. Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't think things could get crazier. Although that Big Sky show is pretty crazy too. That's pretty fucked up too on APC. I don't know. Lately it's like, can we top the fucked up shit? That just seems to be some of these shows are where they're at on the network stuff, but yeah. But we'll see, because I think next week we finally start getting the superhero shows back a little bit. But yeah, I've been catching that, and then I guess this brings us into, you know, we can start talking about, it seems like a good time to talk about, the episode about WandaVision, episode 4, I guess, right?
Yeah, we can do that. I just before we started recording tonight, I watched the mid-season trailer they put out.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So I guess there's 8 episodes total. So I guess there's
I thought there
4
was
more.
9.
I
thought there was 9. I thought they had 5 to go. But
well, if it's mid-season, this is between episode 4 and 5, so I presume we're getting at least 4 more.
Right.
So that was interesting. We didn't see a whole lot of new footage, just a few more, you know, the plot thickens kind of thing. It's like the first 3 episodes, we had the 50s episode, the 60s episode, 70s episode, and last week we even talked about, well, we need some exposition here, and we got it. And we go, for the most part, we got it, and it felt like an MCU event. It felt like something that should have been out of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something that might have been a subplot of a big Marvel movie. and I loved it. It's tying it together and seeing Darcy and Wu, the guy from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and when he did the magic trick when he got his ID card, man, I was like, yeah, that was cool. The dude's learning from Scott or whatever. He inspired, Scott inspired him to learn magic. But when, I think right at the very beginning, when we flash back to when, Monica, or what,
Monica.
Yeah, comes back from the snap. And you hear Captain Marvel say, Lieutenant Trouble. It's like, I got chills. I'm like, yeah, this is it, man. And then and then she's in a hospital. It's like, where's my mom? And I'm like, oh no, I know where this is going. You know, and people are reappearing from what they call the blip in, what to call it in,
Endgame.
Spider-Man, Far From Home. It was dubbed the blip when everyone came back from the snap from 5 years when, Smart Hulk used the nano gauntlet or whatever. And now we found out that Maria died while she was gone. And now she wants to get back to work, and Sword's been around since before the events of Endgame, although Sword was never mentioned in Infinity War or Endgame. And I don't think even mentioned, I remember they didn't mention S.H.I.E.L.D. either.
No.
So,
in fairness, Sword really, and it's interesting. There was a couple of drops there, but yeah, I'll let you keep going on this because
I was given. Oh yeah, spoilers for episode 4. I haven't seen it. Go watch it. Pause. It's a half hour. Go watch it and come back. There's a great Thor vibe just because Darcy's back, and Darcy has her sense of snarkiness that was missing from Thor 2 had it a little bit, and it was great in the first Thor movie when she hears Mjolnir and she says meow meow. Got that kind of vibe again, and she's figuring it out, like we're all these crazy different fields, and so Sword doesn't know what the hell's going on. That's why we're all in this room. We're on in this truck on the way to see whatever this crazy shit is happening. And then she's watching the sitcom as it's happening, and everyone's like, what? And, well, it's so great. It was, and we figured it out, and then it flashes, you get caught up to when Monica is expelled from what seems to be Wanda's construct. This is Wanda's world, and the whole thing about the beginning of the episode where the cops are standing in front of the town and they're like, we're from Eastview. There is no Westview. And so are all these people fake? Have they been have their memories been wiped? Do these have to be like artificial people? Right? This is like Wanda's reality. But they know they're fake. At least they're in some regard. So, that's the thing, though, too. That's the big question for me now is the citizens of Westview, do they know that what's going on here?
So let's take it a few steps back, which is, I'll be honest, I was a little confused at the beginning of the episode about what was going on because, I thought maybe that had to do with her being expelled from Westview. And then I began to realize, no, this is a flashback. This has got to be from after the snap or the blip or whatever you want to call it. And then it made a little bit more sense. And it was interesting because we don't get an understanding of, we don't get a full understanding of what that looked like in terms of the world.
Yeah. I mean, really, this is one of the great things about what's going on now. This exciting about me is like life, mankind, just like humans, just society in general, adjusting to half of the population being gone for 5 years. I find that fascinating.
And then the interesting part is they all return to the same place that they left from. God forbid you were on a plane.
Yeah, I presume they would have, I presume they would have appeared in a row or something, or on the plane. Even assuming the plane had landed.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a couple seconds of precognizance, you see the people reassembling. You just got to get out of their way, like she's running down the hospital.
Well, but like, what if it's like, okay, you're in the middle of the air. Do you reassemble in the plane, or do you reassemble exactly where you were? And there might not be a plane there right now.
I just presume that it would occur.
And it's like the Wile E. Coyote thing going.
Yeah, they're
Mommy.
like ding ding. Yeah,
Done.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Done. I'd be curious as to. Somebody should ask that at a con.
Yeah.
That's a con. That's a great con question.
Yeah, it's a great question for the Russo brothers or Feige. Yeah.
Yeah, Feige or something like that. Like to ask a question like that. It's like, okay, so when the blip happens, if you're in a plane, you know,
we're getting into the Trekkie convention nitpicky questions here.
I understand, but you know, I mean, it's like there is a part of me where it's like it'd be kind of amusing to find out what the answer is.
Yeah, and like I said, when we hear more of these stories in a secondary sense of like, oh yeah, like it's like how Happy grew a beard while he was gone for 5 years. So that's interesting what happened to half the world. So that's great.
Right. Well, and that's why it's because like seriously, when you're looking at what went on in the hospital, it's like literally these people are rematerializing on top of whatever they were, wherever they were at, whatever's there now. So that's kind of why I was like,
yeah, like one person that like reassembled like on a gurney in the hall.
Right. Imagine if it would see the more amusing part where you're like, imagine you're like cutting somebody open on a table, and whoever it was that was on the table just suddenly reappears and flops right on top of them or something like that.
Yeah. I'm sure
God, that'd have been
losses to that.
Yeah. So there's that.
And then the what you call it, the sitcomizing of these people, like the one guy, the SHIELD agent in hazmat gear, he walks through the sewer and he becomes a beekeeper. And like the drone that Monica flew in turned into like a toy plane.
Well, did you catch that when the cord snaps from the beekeeper and they bring it back, it's jump rope?
It's the jump rope, yeah.
It's jump rope?
Yeah.
So, you know, certainly there's that. And it was funny because certain people are like, why would Monica walk in, like a trained agent like that, walk through like that without, you know,
well, she was allowed in, so for whatever reason, some people weren't. Like some people weren't able to get through.
And this goes back to, and this is one of the theories. One of the theories is the reason she's allowed in is anybody, you know, people who've read the comics. Monica ends up becoming, for a period of time, and again, continuity's strange, and I don't know how they're going to work it here. But Monica becomes Captain Marvel for a while.
So technically she was Captain Marvel before Carol Danvers was.
Well, yes, there's that.
Some people complained at that when Brie Larson was cast. So
yeah, so the interesting part about Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel is, and I think it's Kelly Sue DeConnick who fixed her continuity. And in fairness, it needed to be fixed badly. Which is to be able to make something like this work. Which was they made it where Monica now makes more sense to how that could be that, and there could have been a Captain Marvel, and then there was the Captain Marvel with the Dash, which was played by what's his name in the movie. You know, all that had to be reconfigured, and really, in reality, you know, Carol Danvers was Ms. Marvel, not Captain Marvel.
Yeah, with the fancy, the black swimsuit, pretty much, with the lightning bolt. That's her famous, she was that for a while. Yeah, for years. Yeah, she had that costume.
So yeah, I mean, you know, obviously one of the theories is that the reason she's able to walk through is because, well,
maybe she's, got some of that, and she's a pilot. She's
not only that, but, keep in mind, Captain Marvel, her version of Captain Marvel, and I don't know what her current superhero code name is, and I don't know enough about it, but in the 80s, her thing was she literally could transform into energy.
I think she was Spectrum, I think was her.
I think it's something like that. Yeah. This is the part where I haven't paid attention in a while. The point being is that she literally could turn into energy, and she had more energy-like powers than Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. So it is distinctly possible, because it was an energy field, that she was able to manipulate it, and that's the reason why. And that'll be something that gets built upon when the time comes to have that character, like, become a superhero.
Yeah.
And that's the theory. The other interesting one, and it's funny because I thought about it too. I don't think it is, but the other one is that was interesting was, so the agent who goes in and becomes the beekeeper is Agent Franklin.
Okay.
And some of us are all wondering, Agent Franklin as in Franklin Richards? Franklin? Which would make him the son of Reed and Sue Richards of the Fantastic Four?
I don't know. That maybe.
I mean, I feel like it's a stretch too, but it did pop into my mind before I saw it online. And so, but yeah, I enjoy, honestly, it's funny because you had that meme up today about, and I've seen it a couple places about give Wu his own show. And you know what? A show with him and Darcy Lewis. And it was funny. I was trying to think of other characters that would fit that, like, grouping that you could put with them to create a show like that. And you know what? I'd watch.
Yeah.
I'd watch. Mm-hmm. I really would.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would watch it more than I would have watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think there's your answer, is maybe bring in some of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. people, like Coulson or something like that, and do it that way. And I think it would be...
The one other thing was just we flash back to when Monica was removed from Wanda's fantasy, and she turns to Vision, and he's dead. He's got the stone ripped out of his skull. And it's like, oh, geez, this scared the shit out of me, actually.
Well, and so that becomes the question. See, this is the weird part, because it's like, okay, we see on the wall that Sword has figured out who some of these people are. And I'll be honest, I have not paid enough attention that there might not be a name or something. Like, there were certain people that didn't get named that they hadn't found. Like the chick from the PTA didn't get named as a name that was found.
Yeah, the blonde, the uppity, the upper crust, yeah.
And I think the neighbor, the one who is constantly coming over, did not get found.
Yeah, the lady friend neighbor, from all.
Yeah, the
episodes.
one that was in that 70s show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one has not been.
Oh, the
named.
boss's wife. Yeah, right.
Or is it the boss's wife? Maybe it's the other one I'm thinking of. But you get
brunette.
the point. Yeah, the one who's been coming by, who's the friend, the neighbor friend.
Yeah, like the Ethel to Wanda's Lucy.
Right, she does not get named. I thought the other interesting part is it's interesting that, when Darcy's watching at certain times, things glitch.
Right, and
we don't see certain
skipping.
things.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And we don't see certain things. Like,
But we know what happened, though.
Well, what's interesting, because we didn't see what we ended up seeing at the end of episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Which was, we didn't see the part where literally, it now becomes clear that this is Wanda's world and we're all just living in it. It's really clear.
Yeah.
The real question is there still another bad guy in all this? Or is this just basically, this is all Wanda?
Yeah.
Totally
Wanda.
Wanda.
What Monica said when she woke up. And the spotlight from the helicopter is in the dark and all that. And that's cool, also in Thor, when they find this town and Monica goes missing, they build a camp around it, just like how they built a camp around the hammer in the first Thor movie. So.
Yeah.
So I'm digging it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I laughed really hard when they brought in, what's her name, when they brought in Darcy. And she's like, I need a TV, not a flat one.
Not flat.
And they're all like, how come nobody knows what's going on? And literally she's watching TV.
Yeah, and she's eating popcorn or whatever,
Right. And like, Wu's lines are classic. And it's like, So it's a sitcom featuring two Avengers.
With two Avengers?
Two Avengers. I like, yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
and the Hendrix song, Voodoo Child, during the credits fits magnificently.
Well, and the other thing is it's interesting because, like, now we can go back, and that's the other thing. You know, it rehashes some of the things that we saw from episodes 1, 2, and 3 to give them context, like how we heard Woo back in one of those episodes.
Right.
Or, okay, here's this toy thing when really that's the drone that they sent through. You know, a lot of that different types of stuff. You know, that there's all of that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like, for example, and this is the interesting part, you know, there's a point where she talks about the episode glitching, and it's like we didn't see something. Here's the episode they don't talk about with that. That part in was it episode 2 or 3, where Vision's having like the, hey, maybe we're not supposed to be here. What's going on?
That was episode 3, when in the 70s one, where he's on the front hedge talking to the neighbor guy and the lady friend.
No, I'm not even talking about that. Where it's earlier in the episode where he's coming to a visualization.
Yeah, he's like thing. He's realizing, wait a minute, you know, and then she's kind of like, whoops, nope, let's not going to do that.
And then resets the entire thing.
Yeah, resets it. Yeah, that was. I think it was episode 2.
Was it episode 2? Maybe it was episode 2. But it's funny because she was watching episode 2 and doesn't comment on, like, hey, wait a minute, we didn't get to see the rest of this. Right. This got edited. And it wasn't that wasn't the episode of how that happened where it happened. So we'll see. You know, it's interesting. I'm very much for the Woo Darcy or whatever you want to call it.
The spinoff, the Sword Agent
of Sword
or whatever.
I'm good with the maybe they hook up like Bob Chicka Wow Wow. I'm good with that.
Woo's not her type.
I don't know. I'm okay with it. I think it'd be interesting to do it. I'm not against it. I think it'd be fun. I think, you know, at least it's something interesting, different to do with the characters in some ways. It's funny. It made me think, what other characters could you bring in like that?
Yeah, well, these third-tier characters we've seen from all the MCU, you know, and I'm
explaining
this to somebody like, oh my God, it's like, this guy was in this movie and this chick was in 2 Thor movies, and we're like, holy Jesus.
I mean, the only person I can think of from the movies who you could pull stuff like that off to make it work like that is, what's his name? The other guy, the older guy from Thor,
the scientist guy,
the scientist guy. Yeah, he's the only other one I can think of because it's like,
and why did they? If they need an astrophysicist, I suppose maybe Jane Foster wasn't available, and obviously Natalie Portman wasn't available, which would make sense. And they're setting up for Thor: Love and Thunder,
right? Well, in fairness, there's nothing that says that's not the reason why that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm curious to see if we see Dr. Darcy Lewis in the fourth Thor movie now.
We'll see if she's rejoined Jane before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, or any of that along those lines. And here's the interesting question. If she has, is it possible we could see Woo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think at that point, I think that is possible. I mean, as a matter of fact, as long as we're talking about that, and because there's I can't remember who it is who made the comment that Thor Love and Thunder looks like it'll be the biggest cast of MCU characters of any of Phase 4.
Well, yeah, maybe in Phase 4, yeah.
In Phase 4. Yeah. Because it sounds like you're getting most of the Guardians.
Maybe, yeah, at least if they drop him off somewhere, we might see him in a cameo or something.
No, my understanding is that we're getting Drax, we're getting Star-Lord, we're getting the Guardians.
Okay.
They will be a part of this whole, and part of it is because James Gunn has even admitted that he's consulting. So if he's consulting, that means that, you know, we're gonna see Guardians in this fourth Thor movie, which makes a lot of sense.
All for it. Can't wait.
Yeah, you know, the question is, are we getting all of them? You know,
yeah, this is the most excited. This episode is really just because we've seen, we know this with this sitcom situation. Now we're seeing it in a real world, I can say it, real world context. We wooed Bob Wawa. We wooed.
We are hunting rabbits.
Yes.
We are hunting rabbits.
Yeah, dig it. Can't wait for episode 5. So.
There's that. I hate to say it again. This is where I get frustrated because I'm like, what do you mean you gotta wait? Really? I gotta wait? Damn it! I don't want to wait. I want to do this now. I want to. Can I binge it and figure out what it is? But
nope, that's not going to happen anymore because they've learned from the Mandalorian. They can retain subscriptions. And then I presume once WandaVision is done, we're going to go right into Falcon and Winter Soldier pretty soon.
I think that might really legitimately be correct. I think you're dead on with that. I'd have to look at dates on that. I'm not positive. About that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this all goes. There are a couple. I think there's a couple other things out there about. I'm just kind of looking to see where about news stuff for this week.
Yeah, we got a couple of news items. More from Snyder Cut.
Yeah, well, we finally got a date.
Huzzah!
We finally got a date for the Snyder Cut, which is March 18th. Sadly, I hate to say it, I think we finally might hear the end of the Snyder Cut by March 18th, 2022. And I'll be honest when I say that, because it's like, I think all of this might finally die down by then. Unless, of course, somehow they were to greenlight him being able to do more stuff for HBO Max, and then this will continue, and it will be never ending, and I will continue to want my head to explode. Just like it's funny, there's talk again today about, and again, this is one of the reasons I laugh, which is, apparently one of the things that Ray Fisher had a problem with was he didn't want Cyborg to say booyah, and apparently Snyder agrees that's not mature, and I'm like, oh Jesus. You guys are a little too serious.
Well, I like the serious take on Cyborg in Justice League. That's one of the few things. Well, there's several things I liked in Justice League, but I did like the serious tone that he had. It would have been maybe it's just the way he would have said it. I don't hate that he didn't say it. I'm hating the fact that
he did. In the current version he says it. And the current version that we didn't get, they made him do it, and that's why he's mad. That's one of the things he's mad about. Is that that's one of the things he's mad about. I'm trying to look to see what other pieces of news we got that we can throw in with on this.
A little bit more Marvel news.
Well, actually, I do have a little DC news here, which is so apparently. For Titans Season 3, they're casting Tim Drake.
Okay.
So Tim Drake, so okay. All talk, my understanding, Mike, is that Season 3 is based in Gotham. We're gonna get the Red Hood, which is Jason Todd.
Yeah, Jason Todd's been in I think half of Season 1 and all of Season 2 pretty much.
Right, and then there's talk that we're getting Barbara Gordon, and now we're going to get Tim Drake.
But will Barbara be Oracle, or will she be Batgirl? I presume she'll be Batgirl.
I think she's going to be Oracle, believe it or not. Believe it or not, but don't quote me on it. I can't.
I'm quoting Jeff, writing down.
Well, again,
Barbara
it's just,
Gordon. Hold on. How many R's in Barbara?
I don't know.
Anyway, so
But
yeah, okay,
so,
bring on season 3 of Titans. Hope it's good. I'll watch it.
yeah, my concern is, okay, it sounds very, very Gotham centric, and I'm unclear as to, with all the stuff you could do.
Well, yeah, I mean the angle they're going. I mean, you can bring. I know it's cost prohibitive to do a lot of Superboy powers, and the cost prohibitive to do a lot of Star Girl powers. I mean, I'm sorry.
You mean the fact that Beast Boy only seems to turn into a tiger
Starfire,
when he can do more than that?
Yeah, Beast Boy is just a tiger. Once he was a snake, and it's cost prohibitive to do travel to a Starfire's homeworld, because
my understanding is they're doing something with it. It's going to be all on planet though, and I'm curious how that's going to roll. But
yeah, and we got to bring back Donna Troy. She's dead. We got to bring her back. Are they going to go to Themyscira?
Yeah.
It's going to be too cost. This is going to be cost too much for to go over there. You're going to maybe reuse some sets. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. This is what I mean. I mean.
Why? Yeah, exactly. Why are they going to Gotham when they can?
Well, right. Well, and the other thing is, the part I don't get is, it's like, I'm hearing rumblings about Batman villains.
Yeah, well, it's like Batman is familiar territory. It's safe territory. They know if they can keep putting in, to keep teasing Batman, which is obviously, a very popular DC character, so I'm told.
Right. I mean, I get it's Dick Grayson, and see, this is what I'm talking about, and this is where I will disagree with Jeff Johns, because I know he's involved in that. Well, maybe he's not anymore. I don't know. But at one point, Jeff Johns was very involved in this project, and if the objective with season 3 is to add some of this Batman type stuff, with the idea being that you're going to pull more viewers on HBO Max, so that then you could get a season 4 and 5 commitment. Okay, I guess. But there's a part of me where I'm like, man, there are a lot of really good Titans villains.
Yeah. Instead, they're traveling back to the familiar.
Well, and I get it. Okay. Well, Jeff, he's the original Robin. I get it. And well, we can explore, you could explore the fact that, there's the Red Hood, and then there's Tim Drake, and you can do all these things. It's like, all right, I get it. I mean, there's a part of me where I will be thrilled if somebody, because I've joked about this for years, Mike, that one of the things I've never seen happen in the comics is, okay, supposedly Dick Grayson, the love of his life is Barbara Gordon. Unless, of course, you grew up in the 80s and
you have Starfire.
Or you watch the Teen Titans or Teen Titans Go as a kid, and then it's Starfire.
Yeah.
And there are certain people, and this is a real quote, where it's like, at one point in Titans, the original Titans run from the 80s and kind of the 90s, Dick Grayson's supposed to get married to Starfire. And it gets kind of nixed. And one of the reasons it gets kind of nixed is they finally kind of get back, the Bat editors finally kind of get control back of Dick Grayson and Nightwing. And one of the quotes that's always been out there is, yeah, because we want Dick Grayson, because it's really easy for him to be so inconspicuous about who he is if he's dating a 6-foot fucking alien.
I'm fine with that.
Some truth with that, but at the same time, it's like, well, this goes away from what we can do as Batman with Batman stuff. It's like, the point being is, I've always said in the Nightwing book, one of the things that I thought that should be explored, and has never been explored that I'm aware of, in the Nightwing title. And Nightwing's had a title now for 20-something years, on and off. Okay? They've never explored the love triangle between Barbara Gordon, Starfire, and Dick Grayson.
Yeah, maybe that's a good way to make for cheap drama, not having to use special effects and not as much pow and zap. It's kind of like making it give it a little drama in that regard.
Right. Now, that would be interesting if they're really going to go that route for the TV show. That would be interesting.
But the last 2 years, we know that Dick Grayson's had a relationship with Dove before she,
right,
when Hawk and Dove were around, or beforehand,
Right, and that's the other thing
they threw that in the mix, and that really hasn't been like a love triangle at all. I mean, even in there was season 1, Starfire and Robin had a tryst that one time, and I've not felt like that they've bond that maybe you were familiar with. So
right, well, and that's the other thing too. As I hate to say it, it's like, okay, you got what's her name? I can't remember her name, the actress's name, to play Dove. So you're going to take advantage of that, and you're going to do some things a little bit different than the comics, and they want to have their own creative license to create their own thing, because it doesn't have to look exactly like the comics. Great, fine. You decide that she's going to be, he had a tryst with Dove. Okay, fine. I get it. You've got the actress. It makes that actress, she's very popular. It makes most sense. Because really, in reality, in the 80s, Hawk and Dove were not kind of around for the Perez Wolfman type.
They were really like third, fourth tier.
I mean, they weren't
as
really
prominent,
Right. They weren't really prominent at all. Just like there were a bunch of characters that were prominent, that were Titan-related characters, like Red Star, who was from Russia, and that character's been buried, it seems, unless something different's happened and he's around. I don't know. It's funny, Bumblebee and Mal were characters back in the 60s. And it's funny because we're doing Black History Month, and one of the things they talk about is how Bumblebee was one of the first black characters in all of DC Comics. And in the middle of the 80s, Bumblebee really wasn't around for that type.
And so Hasbro cashed in.
Well,
we had another Bumblebee join the forefront, and that's another story.
But Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go kind of brought back Bumblebee.
Yeah, and she was in Teen Titans. I remember there was one episode where she and Cyborg.
Right, and in fairness, they brought her back into the books a little bit at that point. But I mean, there's some other characters that they didn't touch nearly as much. That suddenly, like for example, we haven't seen Lilith at all, which is she's kind of a mystic character that's very different than Raven, and she's got it more together than Raven does, which would be interesting to see as a counterbalance to Raven, but we're probably not going to see that character.
Yeah, because the effects budget for her powers, and that's one thing that's hindered this series is the fact that we've only seen Beast Boy become a tiger a couple times. We've not seen too many other CG animals or not real life CG animals that they've spray painted green or whatever you want to.
Well, and it's kind of funny because it's like, I mean, here's the interesting part. Like I said, even from a villain perspective, it's like, okay, in theory, my understanding is the villains to this season are like Blackfire. So, okay, you've brought Blackfire to Earth, and you're going to do it that way, I guess.
Well, she wants revenge, and they've teased that heavily in first 2 seasons.
Right. So I guess she's coming to Earth with her entourage, which should be interesting because last time I checked, she's the ruler of Tamara. So this should be interesting. Are you planning on having a full-scale invasion of the planet? Because that's the only other thing I can come up with if you're not going to send them into outer space. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that works. Yeah. The other thing is my understanding is there's another set of villains that apparently, I guess Red Hood technically counts as a villain. I've heard rumblings that we're going to see some Batman villains, like Two-Face, who back in the day was kind of considered, that was the person who beat up on Robin, and bad things happened to Robin because of Two-Face, and that's the reason why Batman supposedly banished Dick Grayson. And it's funny, in current continuity, that isn't the case. But, So
regardless, yes, season 3 of Titans is coming, and we hope it's good. So,
Yeah,
in
again,
summary.
yeah, I didn't mean to go on a long tangent.
No, I know. This is. Do you feel like this show may have irreparably damaged these characters?
No.
Do you think this show is beyond help? Beyond hope?
No, and it's funny because I don't think that they've totally damaged the characters at all. I think, if anything, I kind of laugh because it's like they haven't really damaged the characters at the same time.
But there's parts of the show that does make you want to, yell at the sun.
Well, yeah, and part of the reason it wants me to yell at the sun is because it's like you guys could do so much more with what you've got going on.
Yeah, and they just don't.
And you're not, and that's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, missed opportunities.
That exactly. Because here's the thing: when's the next time we're getting a Titans TV show? Are we?
Unless it's animated, not likely.
Right, and I guess that's where my frustrating part is it's like, I mean, I don't know, I don't see a movie happening, at least not that I'm aware of. Once upon a time I heard rumblings that they were talking about greenlighting a movie, but again, I mean, the only other thing I keep thinking is, they were talking about specific HBO Max movies. Well, okay, maybe just maybe, that would include something Titans related. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's my concern. Is it's a good watch. It could be a great watch. This series could go on a really long time, just on the source material alone. And yeah, there's a part of me where I'm like, some of it'll be budget. Some of it just seems like they're writing just to write to try to keep themselves alive with everything that's changed. And I don't know that we're going to get what I thought we could get. That's too bad.
Yeah.
That's really too bad. Like, honestly, I mean, I don't know why. Actually, I take it back. No, I don't. Brother Blood makes all the sense in the world to have as a big bad for season 3. And it would be easy.
Yeah, and they've dispatched. They dispatched Deathstroke.
Yeah, already in season 2.
And
although
it seemed
and
they've put Trigon on the back burner again.
Is Death? I can't remember. I can't remember if Deathstroke's dead.
Yeah, I think he's probably very dead.
If
I remember right, I think he ain't coming back.
I mean, the thing about Trigon is that Trigon's an interdimensional demon. He could always come back again. And it's possible.
Oh, they teased his return sometime in season 2 as the whole Deathstroke arc was building.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's always that too, that you could go back to that route. But, like, for example, like I said, there are other Titan villains you could go to that are well-known characters. Like I said, Brother Blood, off the top of my head, would be perfect. I mean, it would be really simple to do a storyline where it's like there are missing homeless kids or runaways, or kids are missing and nobody cares. Where are they going? What's happening to them? And you could have this charismatic guy who runs a church, who meanwhile everybody thinks he's this great guy who runs this church and is doing these wonderful things for these kids, when really in reality he's this, he's using them to he's using it for his blood cult. I mean, you could do it. It doesn't have to be in Zandia. It could be, right? Well, you get the idea. And it's unfortunate because I don't know that we're going to get there. There are a few other villains that they could go to. But the only other DC news that I'm aware of off the top came out. So I guess they're doing a Batman audio podcast, or I guess it's going to be episodes I guess it's going to be like radio drama Batman. And
like retelling of the books or something?
Well, or they're going to do like audio plays or something like that. I'm trying to find it now.
I think they're doing something like that in I think they did it with one of the Wolverine books, I think.
Right.
Somebody made an audio podcast of.
So it's going to be Jeffrey Wright, starring as Batman, starring in a Batman podcast from HBO Max. So basically, it is HBO Max is launching a Batman podcast entitled "The Batman Audio Adventures." Okay, so it's a comedic take on a property that sees Jeffrey Wright laying his wish to the Cape Crusader. So I guess they're going more towards I guess this is part of the Spotify deal that they signed. So I guess there's that. From a Marvel perspective, I'll let you go first. I don't know if there's what stuff you wanted to bring up from Marvel.
Oh, yeah, we got a couple of news stories regarding the superhero genre in the Marvels. It's on the Squares Roundtable Facebook page, and I'm bringing it up now as I'm stalling for time. Of course, this is we're recording on February 1st. This is Black History Month, and this article from comicbook.com shows that the Black Panther Kingdom of Wakanda spin-off series is coming to Disney Plus. I'm all for this. This is awesome. Of course, remembering they put a YouTube video up remembering Chadwick Boseman. Marvel's Black Panther is getting a Kingdom of Wakanda tie-in series. Black Panther and Black Panther 2 director Ryan Coogler is attached to the Wakanda series as part of a 5-year deal between his Proximity media company and Disney. Coogler has released a statement saying in part that, quote, "It is an honor to be partnering with the Walt Disney Company. Working with them on Black Panther was a dream come true. As avid consumers of television, we couldn't be happier to be launching our television business with Bob Iger, Dana Walden, and the amazing studios under Disney umbrella." He said, "We look forward to," let's see, does it say anything? "We're already in the mix with some projects we can't wait to share. On behalf of Proximity Media," and photo, they've got a picture here from Black Panther. It's all the heroes from all the heroes from Black Panther. But Ryan brought up groundbreaking story. We're thrilled to get strengthen our relationship. Look forward to telling more. Blah blah blah. It's a typical PR BS. But we're getting a spin-off series for Wakanda, and that's cool. That's great.
It'll be interesting if that becomes before Black Panther 2.
Yeah, exactly. Will it take place before? I know. Well, it said a spin-off series is coming, so I presume Black Panther 2 will be the springboard for the series. That's my speculation. That have the movie, and then you can build from that.
See, the irony is, and see, it's kind of funny. This is too bad, because they've sat there and said, okay, no one's going to be the Black Panther ever again, or it seems like that's what they've gone to. And that's too bad, because here's a perfect example of where you could, at this point, you could have used this series as a way to bring in a new Black Panther organically and make it work. And then continue to have a Black Panther. But right now that's not.
No, I'd totally be cool with Shuri taking the mantle.
Yeah, that's a possibility too.
Yeah.
Again,
we just don't know yet. For sure.
Right.
That the rumor mill is that Shuri will take the reins.
Well, at one point they announced that there wasn't going to be anybody ever being the Black Panther again.
Well, it just wasn't, maybe because it was close to Chadwick's death, it wasn't appropriate to say for sure. But I think if I was a betting man, I'd say the princess is gonna take the reins from her brother.
Yeah. Well, I how do I say? I have a feeling that if she doesn't, there will be an uproar that they will not like. Even though it's possible that you could pick somebody else who might make sense or might have more star power.
Which like we're gonna do pull a Star Trek and say, this was T'Challa's half brother. We never mentioned until now.
Well, honestly, there's a lot of ways that you could write a story. There's a lot of ways that you could write a story that, you know, if you went from the adventures of, or whatever the heck it is, of Wakanda, maybe there's some law, Wakandan law, that says that if this person is dead or this certain thing,
maybe like a rags to riches story of one of the common folk of Wakanda. They rise to, like, you know, kind of maybe something like that. I don't know. Again,
I just it opens the door to do something with it, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, okay. And again, I'm not against. I'm not against Shuri being the Black Panther, by the way. I will question, and maybe this is wrong of me to question. I don't know. Is she? I just don't know that they're gonna that movie will make the numbers that they want to make with her at the helm as the main character.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, and I'm sure there's certain people who will be like, okay, that's anti-women. I'm like, no, it's not so much anti-women as it is, you know, how do I put this? If the actress who played Shuri was a bigger, big-time name actress.
Or maybe they could use it to tie in Storm. Because there's been some, obviously in the books, there's been tie-ins between.
Now that would be interesting.
Yeah, between Storm and the characters in Wakanda.
Now that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, at one point, yeah. Well, and because at one point, that's his wife.
Yeah. At one point.
At one point,
yeah.
But in Storm's history, well, it's interesting because Storm's history is interesting because really she's more Egyptian, but you know, hey,
it
look,
might be a good way to tie in and help, you know, interweave the X-Men into the MCU.
Right. Well, and that's why I kind of laugh because, you know, there's a perfect example. And maybe, again, my headache is off the top of my head right now. I'm trying to think of big time Black woman who would fit that kind of role, who would be able to do a physical role or something. You get the idea. And I'm just, right now I'm trying a blank, but it's, you know, they exist, you know, they're out there, you know, there's somebody who I'm not thinking about that I'm going to be like banging my head against the wall in 2 seconds. Who's got a little bit more brand name. But hey, you know, maybe they want to make their own person. You get the idea. I mean, once upon a time, nobody knew who Chris Helmsworth was. Once upon a time, nobody knew who Chris Evans was either.
Yeah, he was Johnny Torch.
Yeah, well, right. And he was a scrawny little guy who played, you know, Johnny Storm and played that other character.
The Human Torch,
Played that other character in Losers. And it was in a couple other movies here or there. But, you know, yeah, he wasn't, you know, he wasn't a big time actor when it came time to do Captain America.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about anything else. There's some real rumors out there about the Spider-Man plot that, if they're true, it sounds amazing.
Do we even want to talk about them? I don't recognize this news site.
I don't either, but at the same time...
It sounds like a WeGotThisCovered.com kind of rumor.
Well, it's funny because there's a part of me where I'm like, that's why when I put it out there, I'm like, okay, we can all drool and dream, but we don't, you know, this may not be...
Well, speaking of Spider-Man, that Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse wave of the Marvel Legends is hitting stores, based on the animated one with Miles Morales. That's hitting stores. I think some of the e-retailers have the wave in stock. And man, I just got to remind you that is a cool Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
We hope we
And
get a
that's
sequel to that soon.
Yeah, and there's a date on that, and I'd have to go look it up. But, all things point to, this third Spider-Man movie gonna be crazy.
Yep.
And
thank goodness drunk Tom Holland called the president of Sony or whatever he did.
Well, and it's interesting because if some of the stories are to be believed,
if we get
this might allow some tie-in between the regular Marvel universe and the Sony Marvel universe, because there's talk Venom's in this movie. There's talk Morbius is in this movie.
Oh yeah, they're still talking. Yeah, remember Morbius? We remember a year ago we were talking about that show. That's not.
Well, that's still kind of sitting on a shelf.
Still in the works.
At the moment. And my understanding is Michael Keaton is playing the Vulture in Morbius.
Okay.
So go figure how this all works. I mean, there's the one scene where there's a wanted poster for Spider-Man wanted, in the Morbius trailer. So it's or was it a Warner poster or something about?
I don't know.
Got the Spider. You get the idea.
Yeah.
But where it was wait, hold on a second. That fits with Far From Home. How does this play in? Again, there's enough interesting. Yeah, I mean, every time I turn around, there's another name, there's another possibility. It does sound, again, from this one account, it does sound like it could be the Sinister Six. It does sound like that. The one thing I'm kind of surprised by is, in all the accounts, and I'm waiting for it, I've yet to see anybody saying there's somebody going to be playing a live-action Miles Morales.
Again,
and to me, this seems like...
they semi-teased that in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Right, well, and that's how I put this.
Yeah.
If you're really going to do this multiverse kind of concept, where you're bringing all three of them, this seems like a really good time to bring in a fourth one.
Yeah.
And it can be Miles. I mean, why not? This is the time, this is the type of movie you make that move on. Yeah, I there's that. I think the only other thing we may need to touch on is some kind of sad news this week. I know we've had a lot of people passing away lately, but a little bit shocking. Dustin Diamond, aka Screech, from Saved by the Bell, has lost his battle with I believe it's stage 4 lung cancer.
Yeah, it was cancer. Yeah, it was lung cancer. I think we might have mentioned him in one of our News of the Squared bits, maybe about a year or two ago.
Yeah,
because he has had some trouble with the law.
Yeah, Dustin has. It was funny. At one point, Dustin Diamond was living in Wisconsin. I know people who were like, yeah, he lives up here. I think up until a year ago or so, he was still living in the Wisconsin, the Milwaukee area. But I don't know. Did you ever watch Saved by the Bell or no?
No, it was a little 90s, so it was a little past that for me.
See, I only caught it because it's when I was in college on Saturday morning. You got nothing better to do. It was okay, this is pretty cool. And I know there were a bunch of people of that age bracket from college that were found it that way, even though it was really for, how do I say, it was for a younger age bracket.
For tweens, yeah.
Yeah, it was for tweens and teens, which they were targeting. And, that show's been, for a long time, that show was on TBS continually. I don't know where it's at now. The replays. But,
how old was he?
44.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's
very sad.
Well, and it's weird because, guy did so, after the whole thing went down, he did a lot of those reality shows, like the VH1 ones that they used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Where, they'd send you, the camp and stuff like that. And he always ended up being, a bad guy dude. And then I know he did porn at one point.
He had to make rent somehow. We all
right,
gotta make a living.
And,
at least he was still in the entertainment industry.
Right, and I know he used to, at one point he did stand up. And again, like somebody else was saying, it's like, the other thing is he didn't get picked for that Saved by the Bell show. The new one at all. So it'll be interesting to see if that gets acknowledged.
Whether or not they picked it, they left it because of his failing health, or because of his criminal record, or just his seedy past, or what have you.
Well, it's interesting because, and then he wrote a tell-all book too at one point. And that got turned into like an unauthorized Saved by the Bell movie, like Lifetime kind of movie. Which I know people were not thrilled with. But yeah, the other thing was he was younger than all the others too, by a good amount. So, it wasn't like he totally fit in, but I think it'll be interesting because I know I saw the new version, the revival Saved by the Bell Facebook page was like, oh my God, we feel so bad, blah, 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 blah. And in fairness, they do sort of mention him in the show, which is, they kind of make it sound like he's like up working in the space station. So we'll see if they acknowledge him at all. Because I know that got greenlighted for a season 2. But, I guess I gotta be honest, I thought as a lot of people, maybe he'd have a second act, but sometimes some of these child stars,
sometimes they can't handle fame.
Or they just, this is what they are, or this is what they become, or, then they gotta figure out a way around.
They all gotta make a living, and we all gotta live with the choices we make.
Oh, he did the boxing thing too, though. He was one of the guys in the Fox, celebrity reality boxing thing too. If I remember correctly, back when Fox would put anything on TV. Anything.
Well, it was the 90s, so they were struggling to find new content to compete with the big three before cable channels and streaming and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very sad. Rest in peace, Screech.
Yep. I'm just surprised at no point did you. Well, like I said, I think it'll be interesting to see. Like I know that there's already a reaction out from some of his former cast stars and whatnot, but yes, rest in peace, Screech Powers, and hope everything goes well.
Hope you find peace. So do we have anything else? Was that it?
I'm sure I might miss something, but that's all I got.
Just go one more thing. Who's your pick for the Super Bowl?
Oh yeah.
You gonna watch?
I may not fully watch. I got something else that night, so we'll see. I think. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna say it. I think Tom Brady pulls it out somehow.
Is that who you think is gonna win, or is that who you want to win?
I think the answer is yes. To all the above.
All right. You think this is Brady's last hurrah again?
I don't know if it's his last, but we're getting close to an ending act. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's not getting any younger.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Then I'd say Kansas City should. They won last year, so I think they're favored.
Sure. I didn't look at what the odds were, but it'd be
weird watching a Super Bowl with no one in the stands.
No, I didn't say they're gonna have people.
There's gonna have people.
They're gonna have like 20 or 30,000.
Oh, like 1/4 capacity or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. They gotta sell those $40 hot dogs somehow, right?
No, absolutely.
Okay. So the Super Bowl, maybe we'll get some commercials. Maybe remember when we used to have talk about the commercials after the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
I don't have any of that.
I don't know
that
we're going to get. Well, so my understanding is,
I miss movie trailers and wacky commercials. Which one had a squirrel? Which one had a guy getting hit in the crotch? Like there was a Super Bowl commercial bingo. Are you in a Super Bowl pool?
No, I'm not in one of those either.
I'm in a pool.
But,
so we'll see if I win
But it's interesting because I'm two minds on this, which is, so Budweiser made a big deal out of the fact that they're pulling their ads, that we won't see Budweiser ads on the Super Bowl. And apparently Pepsi will not have ads on the Super Bowl, and Coke will not have ads on the Super Bowl. But here's the thing that they're not saying. The Budweiser brand will not have anything on the Super Bowl. The Pepsi brand will not have anything in the Super Bowl.
So there'll be like a Doritos commercial, which is owned by PepsiCo.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Or Mountain Dew.
Right, stuff like that.
Mountain Dew will be on it. If there are Coke, how can I say, Coke Zero would not technically count, or anything Coke that Coke owns wouldn't count. Same with Budweiser. Like, Bud Light is not owned by Budweiser. It's not the same as Budweiser, if you understand what I'm saying. Anheuser Busch Beer, you get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Those things may not necessarily be one and the same. So, I mean, I think we're getting ads from those, and certainly.
Well, I got nothing. Well, actually, I have to work this Sunday, but I'm done at 5, so I don't know when the game's going to start. So we'll watch most of it, I presume.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a meeting that night, but I'm okay with the fact that we should be done in time. That if it's a good game, I'll catch it. If not,
at least if anything, I'll catch the second half.
Well, it's funny. There was the one year recently where it was the Rams and the Patriots, and literally, I want to say between the two teams, they didn't make 20 points. And everybody was bored out of their mind. And I was like, I'm so glad
you didn't watch.
That I didn't watch. I would have been like, everyone was like bored to tears. And conversely, like that year that Philadelphia won, there was real drama at the end. So I was there for the perfect stuff, which was, okay, I got to see the end with the real drama. Great. So versus, I'm so glad I missed all that. But, I don't know. Like I said, it'll be interesting. It's without question about the COVID thing. You're right. I don't know. Are we going to see movie commercials? Are we going to see, we're not going to see Budweiser. We're not going to see Coke. We're not going to technically see Pepsi. I don't know. I don't know who else has decided that they're not going to use their money this year towards that stuff and work on other, other projects or throw their money different ways.
Well, okay. Well, I guess that'll do.
Yeah.
So enjoy your week, everyone. Of course, thank you for listening. We're on Instagram and Twitter at SOTRT Podcast. We're on YouTube. Click the bell, subscribe. Want to get new content. You can download the show. You're on your usual podcast hosting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor. You can listen to Ivan's crazy DJing on twitch.tv. It's Java and Ivan. And Jeff is on YouTube and Facebook. It's Dynamite Productions. You can email us at sotrtpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, follow us on the FaceSpace and the MyBooks. Got people begging for top 8 spaces on MySpace. That's where you'll find the crazy news stories. And of course, these stories we talk about in this nerdy stuff that you and Jeff and I like to opine about on the Squares Roundtable Facebook page and our other podcast, our side hustle, News of the Squared. Episode 134.
134. Wow, holy cow.
We're getting into a rut. Getting into maybe a pattern of some sort.
Yeah,
by this time now.
Well, hey, obviously, hope Ivan...
yes, and we hope, shout out to Ivan, hope he's doing well, and he has that, of course, we'll have him back here next week.
I don't know. We'll see. There are other people we can bring in. Not kidding. I'm kidding. I shouldn't be that way. Yeah. So we'll see y'all next week.